How would you describe a lion? Maybe fierce. Maybe images of Mufasa or Scar from The Lion King come to mind. There's an old saying that what comes to mind when we think of God is itself our portrait of God, meaning our thought in that moment tells us who God is to us. Likewise, our picture of Jesus that comes to mind when you hear his name will also tell us a lot about each other. Our view of Jesus communicates something deep within ourselves about how we should relate to others, and specifically, I believe, how we relate to our enemy, to those who we believe are at odds with the way of Jesus. In today's episode, I want you to step into the fray by contemplating a few things. One, how would you describe Jesus? Is he kind, nice, angry, distant? Number two, how does your view of Jesus show up in how you treat others? 3, where do you need to readjust your vision of Jesus to more match reality? Think about these questions as you listen to mine and Berlin's conversation today as we continue going through the book of Revelation. This episode is based on a post on our blog, which is essentially the written version of this episode. So if you want to dive deeper and have a handheld version of what you're hearing, go check the blog, subscribe to the email list to get it sent directly to you every time a new blog comes out, and click the links in the description to find us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave us a rating and review as that gets this episode out to more people. And lastly, this is a resource by the Bridge Church. We love you guys and we thank you all for the support. We will be taking a brief hiatus to work on some more content and mostly to just enjoy mine and my wife's first wedding anniversary. So be sure to catch up on the episodes you've missed before. And finally, let's enter into the fray. This is Into the Fray. I'm Austin.
I'm Berlin.
And we are back talking about Revelation chapter 5. Now,
the band is practicing and we have our new baby, Adeline. So
yes.
If you hear any grunting or anything, it's her.
It's Adeline's debut episode.
But she's sleeping right now.
Alright, so first question. When you hear talk about the end times and second coming, and this isn't our discussions that we have at home or anything that we've talked about already, but just in general, kind of going over things we have discussed before. When you hear talk about the end times, would you say Jesus comes off as vengeful or as gracious? Is he angry or is he loving?
I don't think he's angry, but he is like taking back, right?
Taking back what?
I still don't really know the story. Everything I've been told is he's like coming back and like to set
things right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, he's taking back the earth to make it Eden.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. Would you say, and again, this is where our differences come out, is I was raised in church culture, you weren't.
Mm-hmm.
From your, I guess, briefer understanding of church culture, would you say when people talk about him taking things back, is it like he's had enough with the world and its sinful ways, and he's getting what is his, like he's giving people what they deserve? Or would you say it's like Jesus is coming to like restore?
Yeah, restore.
Okay.
Like, that's what I was trying to like explain.
Okay.
So I was like, he's not angry, but he's taking back.
Yeah.
He's restoring. Like, he's setting things right, like how they're supposed to be.
Okay.
I mean, if he's a little angry, I don't blame him.
This is, again, where the differences between how we were raised comes out. Is growing up, I used to go to this small barber shop attached to the barber's house, and me and my little brother would both routinely, after school, come to get our haircuts here, looking forward to sitting in this barber's chair. We'd watch old reruns of Looney Tunes and getting candy out of the jar. The one part I was never really a fan of, though, was how this barber talked about the end times. This barber, like many in the church environment I grew up in, loved to discuss how the end times was near and predictions would be made, connecting dots from the book of Revelation to modern day events. And most importantly, it had this attitude of giving sinful people what they deserve. But it was like giving these sinful people what they deserve, not what like I deserve. Like, I'm not a part of them. And that was kind of the motivation behind the talk of the end. And this kind of talk centered around the issue of othering. Do you know what that is? It's a way of placing people in the category of being other, that it's like they're not like me and my kind. There's something different and it's something wrong. And so it distances yourself from them so that you don't have to have feelings for them or care about them in any respectful way, which in turn allows you to breed up a resentment and hateful motivations towards them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Segregation.
Yeah, that's actually a really good example. The example I give is in the case of conservative Christianity. We do this by turning the gay community into a community who is other. Of like, we are at odds with the gay community. They are different than us, and they deserve God's wrath. And they're not of us. They deserve God's wrath, and we long for the day they receive God's wrath. And so when we a lot of times what comes up in conservative Christian culture is you're watching the news and you see the gay pride parade going on downtown, and your response is anger and, oh my God, these people, I can't wait for God to give them what they deserve in the end.
Rude.
Like, I can't wait for Jesus to come back and punish these evil scumbags. That's like the language that's used. So, yeah, to take the gay community out of the equation, if that's like a little too real for people, you place any category of people you don't like that you believe are sinful to the point of no redemption, and then you just think about how you relate to God about them. When you talk to God about these people you have an issue with, how do you communicate? And do you long for God to smite them or redeem them? And so the question then becomes, how does our view of Jesus in the end times fit into all of this? Much could be said about the tone behind talk of the end times in our modern context, but I've said to say this. It's from Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers of this darkness, against evil spiritual forces in the heavens. So, now diving into the actual text in Revelation. As John wraps up receiving the message to the 7 churches, which is the last episode we recorded. For me in Berlin, it's been like 2 months.
Yeah.
A door in heaven opens up, and the first voice he ever heard comes through saying, "Come up here, and I will show you what must soon take place after this." That's Revelation 4, verse 1. John immediately is in the Spirit and notices a throne in heaven with someone seated on it. This person seated on the throne is not like the Son of Man figure he has seen before. Do you remember the Son of Man figure? Like who the Son of Man is?
Isn't it Jesus?
Yes.
Okay. It's like, is that a trick question?
Rather, this person is, remember, this person seated on the throne now is not the Son of Man figure we've seen before. He is God the Father seated on the throne with 24 other thrones around him, each with 24 elders seated on them. So 24 thrones with people sitting on them. And these elders are dressed in white clothes, depicting their purity, as well as crowns depicting their participation in ruling as well. But who are these 24 elders? God's people in the Old Testament were divided up into 12 tribes. This is all set up for chapter 5. This is chapter 4. And it's describing the throne room scene. So it's giving you a picture of what this room looks like, and then we're going to dive into, again, chapter 5, which is some things that are going to take place. But God's people in the Old Testament were divided up into 12 tribes. 12 times 2 is 24. And so the 24 elders represent the whole of God's people from Old to New Testament. God's kingdom is complete. That's what's symbolizing. The question, though, we must ask is how? How has God's people expanded from 12 to 24? How has God's kingdom been made complete? And this is where chapter 5 comes into play. John notices in this throne room scene a scroll in God's right hand. This scroll has been sealed 7 times and has writing on both sides. This scroll immediately to the people of this time would catch their attention. Specifically when it comes to writing being on both sides. People did not regularly write on scrolls front and back. It's kind of like if you wrote a note on a piece of paper, but you didn't have like an envelope to put it in or anything, and you fold it up, you don't want there to be writing on the back because you want to be able to fold it, and then when they open it,
They see it.
yeah, that's where all the content is.
No spoilers.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the same imagery here is the seal. It's got, usually they just write on the front and then roll it up and then you unroll it to see what it says. Yeah. This one is going to cause the people to be like, well, what's going on with the scroll? What is on it? it must be important, they had to use front and back. And so not only is there writing on the front and back, but usually a scroll should not be opened by anyone but to whom the letter was being sent or an official. Yet this scroll has seals that are too strong for any mere mortal to break. It's a scroll that it can't be opened by just anyone, and whoever it's meant for, they are someone who is strong enough to break all 7 seals. An angel calls out, "Who is worthy to open the scroll and break its seals?" But as John notes in Revelation 5:3, no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or even look in it. This news broke John down to the point he's crying, sobbing his eyes out at the fact that no one is able to open the scroll for us to see inside. So the questions we then will ask is, what is the message on the scroll, and how will we ever find out what the writing on the front and back have on it? Revelation 5:5 says, "Then one of the elders said to me, 'Don't weep.'" He's looking at John. He's saying, don't cry. "Look, the Lion from the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has conquered so that he's able to open the scroll and its 7 seals." So this elder is looking at John, who's crying because he's like, who's going to open the scroll? Like, we got to figure out what's on it. Like, it must be important. The elder looks at John and says, "Don't cry. The Lion of the tribe of Judah is going to open it." How would you describe a lion?
Fierce, strong.
Think a Lion King, maybe, of like, what, Mufasa? That's the good one, right?
I don't know.
You didn't watch Lion King?
I did, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah, but it's like an iconic movie.
Scar's the bad one.
Yes. So Mufasa's the good one. Anyways, C.S. Lewis says this in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. He's talking about Aslan the lion. "But as for Aslan himself, the beavers and the children didn't know what to do or to say when they saw him. People who have not been in Narnia sometimes think that a thing cannot be good and terrible at the same time. If the children had ever thought so, they were cured of it now. For when they tried to look at Aslan's face, they just caught a glimpse of the golden mane and the great, royal, solemn, overwhelming eyes, and then they found they couldn't look at him and went all trembly." The image that C.S. Lewis paints of Aslan, which is the lion in Narnia, is one of, when you look at him, it strikes fear in you. He's a lion.
Yeah.
And he kind of walks as if he demands respect. But then, as the story goes on, and the kids interact more with Aslan, the more they're like, oh, I can approach him. He's approachable, and he's actually very kind and gentle. But the image of him doesn't look that way at all. And so, that's where lions in ancient culture were symbols of power and tremendous strength. They ruled the animal kingdom, and nothing could stop them. In Genesis 49, verses 9 through 10, we come across this image of the Lion of the tribe of Judah for the first time. It says, "Judah is a lion's cub. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He stooped down. He crouched as a lion and as a lioness. Who dares rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until tribute comes to him, and to him shall be the obedience of the peoples." God chooses Judah to carry the messianic line that leads to Christ despite Judah's failures. Do you remember what messianic means? Messiah?
I know God, like,
When they say Jesus is Messiah, what does that make you think?
the chosen one.
Yeah, actually. So yeah.
That's all I could think right now.
Messiah, instead of chosen, they maybe would have said anointed.
Yep.
The anointed one. And again, it was this image of he's the person chosen by God, anointed by God, who's going to save Israel.
Yeah.
The messianic figure, so that savior figure that will come, is viewed as a lion. This fierce creature who will stalk and kill its prey. This figure is ruthless like a lion, and whoever opposes it will be ripped to shreds. The lion figure would strike fear in people, much like Aslan, though you may try to catch a glimpse of this lion's face. So, like when I say much like Aslan, though you may try to catch a glimpse of the lion's face, even though he strikes fear in people, you're too curious to just not look. You have to look. You have to try to see it a little bit. It's like the movie Nope. There's that scene where I cannot remember the main character's name.
I can't either.
But he's like the cowboy's son, basically.
Yeah.
And he's taking over the farm, the ranch, and he knows the UFO is above him. And he knows it's gotten really bad. And he rolls the window down, or I think he cracks open the door just a little bit to look up because he can't not look. And then as soon as he looks, he realizes this is right above him and it's about to get him. And he shuts the door and he's like, nope. And it's kind of that imagery of it's horrific to see, but I can't not take a peek at it.
Yeah.
You know?
It makes me think of sin.
How so?
Like, when it gets a hold of you, it's like, I can't not look is how you feel.
Okay, yeah.
But, like, when you look, you're like, nope, don't need to be doing that.
Yeah.
Sorry, random.
No, that's good. So, what happens when John, in his vision, hears that the Lion of the tribe of Judah is the only one worthy to open the scroll in God's right hand? Well, John turns around and sees. And it says in chapter 5, verses 6 through 7, I saw one like a slaughtered lamb standing in the midst of the throne and the 4 living creatures among the elders. He went and took the scroll out of the right hand of the one seated on the throne. So, again, paint the picture. John is told that there's one person who can open that scroll, the unsealable scroll. And it's the Lion of the tribe of Judah, which brings horror to your mind. It brings that image of Mufasa or freaking Aslan. And then when he looks to see the lion, instead he sees a slaughtered lamb. So, how would you describe a lamb?
Innocent, pure.
Innocent, pure, yep. If you remember anything about why many of the Jews did not follow Jesus, then you remember it is because Jesus did not look like the lion figure they expected. He didn't come the way they was anticipating.
Was it the knight in shining armor?
Yeah. Lambs were the weakest of creatures. Take into account this lamb is slaughtered. So he's the weakest of the lambs. And lambs were vulnerable. They were considered stupid. They needed a shepherd to protect them because they constantly would wander off or be attacked by prey, specifically lions. Slaughtered lambs also would bring to mind the animal used for the Passover and sacrifices in the Old Testament. When it comes to the Passover, the lamb was slaughtered to set the people free from the plagues in Egypt. Where a lamb died and the blood was smeared, that is where you were set free to live. This imagery used here in Revelation is one that should strike an emotion. And John was just bawling his eyes out at the fact that no one could open the scroll. And then told by one of the elders that there is one who can open the scroll, and it's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. But when John looks over to see this roaring lion, he instead sees a small, weak, slaughtered lamb. But this lamb that's slaughtered is still alive, which is confusing. We were told a lion would open the scroll, yet we see a bloody lamb. Why do you think Jesus would identify himself as a bloody lamb instead of a fierce lion? Think about those two images again and the descriptions of them. Why choose one over the other? Like, why choose a lamb to be like instead of the lion?
This might be wrong. Would it be like he doesn't see himself like as God? Like he is the Son of God?
Like humility? Like he's humble?
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's a degree to that of, I mean, the Bible uses imagery of calling God's people the flock of God, like the flock of lambs of God.
Yeah. And
so
he acts more like a lamb than a lion. He's like nice to everybody. He's not attacking. He's not like.
Well, how is he nice to everybody?
He treats people how he would want to be treated.
Yeah.
Like Jesus.
So he treats people how they would want to be treated, or how he would want to be treated. And he's a human. I mean, he's Son of God, but he's also human. And he specifically chose to identify himself as a human so that he can relate to us. He's identifying with us.
The whole like wandering away thing makes me think of like he like would set up camp, meet people, and then be like, all right, let's pack up, let's go, let's wander away.
Yeah. I've never thought about that. So Jesus is the Messiah the people of Israel was looking forward to, yet Jesus was not the Messiah they expected. Jesus was expected to come as a powerful king who would lead a great army to overtake Rome and all of Israel's oppressors. And it was expected that Jesus would set these people free not by words of his mouth, but by the sword. It was expected he was coming with violence. And not like metaphorical violence, like he was coming to bring a bloodbath. But Jesus came saying, if you live by the sword, you will die by the sword. Jesus came not as a ruler of a nation, but as a little baby fleeing for safety in Egypt. Jesus came not as a bloodthirsty military leader, but as a gentle man healing the least of these. Just like we were expecting the Lion of the tribe of Judah, yet seeing a lamb, we all expect Jesus to be this ruthless, blood-craving military leader. Yet the way he wages war of the powers of darkness is much different than we would if we were in charge. Jesus set his people free not by conquering Rome through violence. Jesus set his people free by laying his life down that others may live. So, last question. In light of this image of Jesus, how are we to then relate to others that we view as enemies? So you think about that how we started off. We talked about our tendency as humans to put people into the other category. They're different than me, and they deserve God's wrath, not me. In light of this image of Jesus, how are we to then relate to those people who we put in that other category? How do we view our enemies?
You should this is just me talking. You should view them as you view yourself. They're a sinner just like you.
Yeah. They're a sinner just like you, meaning it forces you to take on the humility that Jesus took on. Jesus humbled himself. He left the throne room of God as the Son of God, left glory to become a human. And not even like the rich human. He came to be a poor human.
Born with animals around him.
Yeah. And so then how we relate to other people that we look down on is we don't continue to look down on them. We get down with them.
This is just a random thing.
And we raise them up.
Have you seen that picture of it's like, I think it's 3 kids and they're like trying to look over the fence, and like the tallest can see over it, and like then like there's like the middle one that's like standing on something, they can see over it, but the shortest can't. So then like the tallest like the box gets shifted and someone can see over it. Like they can all 3 see over after. It makes me think of that. Like you have to put yourself level. Like you might be the tallest in the room and might be like, I don't know the word.
Like superior.
Yeah. And everyone else is below you, but you have to chop off a little bit of you and put everyone at the same level.
Yeah. So why would people not want to do that?
Because ego. Everyone wants to be better.
Yeah. And in order for you to do that, you have to give something up.
And people don't like that.
You have to give up your privilege.
And nobody wants to do that.
To make it relevant to like our cultural climate today, when talks about Black Lives Matter was coming up and the term white privilege was being thrown around, what people kept hearing who had issues with the term white privilege was, yeah, but I mean, one of the issues it came up with was, well, I worked hard for what I got. Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't see the privilege you're talking about. Like, any privilege I have, I worked for it. Which is, like, fair. But what the term white privilege was getting at was, in our society, there are people who... You
get into school because you're white.
You gotta elaborate. You can't just say that.
Okay, we'll use VSU. Me applying as a white female into the education department, I'm gonna get that before a black male or something. And then this is just the argument I always hear with college is, well, I got in because they needed the diversity. I'm not a real selection. I'm just a diversity student.
Yeah. It's
so.
What I was getting
sorry,
at, though.
You can cut that out.
I might have to.
Yeah, cut that out. I'm sorry. It made sense in my head.
The reason why, like what they're saying when they say there's white privilege is, in our society, people are not born equal. Like, we can view people as equal, and that is good. Like, we should. But our society is sinful and it's broken. And there are naturally systems in place that put people who are white, male, whatever, into a better position to thrive in our society. There's a reason why certain roads in town get paved before others do. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why certain schools in certain parts of town get more funding than others do. And that's not a guilt trip thing of because you were born on the side of town that gets more resources means you're evil. That's not what it's talking about. What it's talking about is you have a privilege that you don't control fully, but that is built into our country. And so the way you as a Christian should respond to that when people bring it up and when you're confronted with it is, I'm going to use my privilege to bring others up.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my privilege to lift others up and give them more resources and better them. Yeah, you use your I mean, that's the idea of justice in the Bible. Justice in the Bible is not just people getting what they deserve. Like, that's our definition of justice today in like America. But in biblical times, justice was this idea of balancing the scale of this person over here who is poor and they don't have all the resources and they're oppressed, and then I am this person who is kind of lifted up. I have royalty, I have glory, I have riches, whatever. I'm going to I'm not just going to balance the scale. I'm like so that they are where they should be, even though I'm still higher, but I'm going to lift them all the way up. I'm going to bring them to where I am, and we're going to thrive together. And I may even lift them higher than me, and I'll become their servant. And it's that upside down kingdom. Anyways, because of Jesus humbling himself from the lion image to the lamb image, the slaughter lamb image, we are able to then mimic that in our own lives by finding ways to serve others, love them, and not come at people who are different than us or who we believe are sinners. Like, it teaches us not to come at them Bible beating them. Instead of come at them with love and humility and grace. So, to sum it up, John sees a scroll in God the Father's right hand and cries at the thought that no one will be able to open the scroll and see what it has written on both sides. Yet there is one who is worthy to open the scroll. The one worthy is the Lion of the tribe of Judah, who does not wage war in the way of this world. This Lion is more like a lamb who lays his life down that others may live. When I was talking to my buddy yesterday about this kind of imagery, we were talking about how do you as a Christian live in a culture that is opposed to the things of God. And the image I gave him that I feel like me and you have kind of shaped our family around is to be like Hacksaw Ridge.
If you haven't watched that, watch it.
Yes. Desmond Doss, I think that's his name in the movie. He's a pacifist because of his Christian values, and he goes into war. And you can't say he's someone who's getting walked over. He's the most courageous person in that movie.
He chooses not to have a gun.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to lord it over people. Instead, he enters the war not with the mindset of, I'm going to kill my enemy, but he actually offers them healing. Like, there's scenes in there where he goes over enemy lines, and he actually starts, like, medically treating the enemy.
Like, I don't know if this is spoiling it, but like when he made the rope system to like get him down, he was sending down the enemy too. Yeah. To go get help.
Yeah. Which, granted, they probably didn't get the help.
Probably not, but he had all the best intentions.
Yeah, he did what he could. He viewed his position in the war as a healer, as a restorer. And that's Jesus' goal in the war against sin and darkness and the principalities of the air and all that stuff, is he is coming to heal and restore, not to defeat and annihilate. And so our idea of how do you as a Christian live in this culture that is opposed to God, you come in with that mindset.
And it's a real story.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if that was clear or not.
Yeah, it's based on a true story. But we go into the war and we're going to get shot at. And it's not going to be easy. But that's us doing what Jesus does. You take the hard route. You know the cost to take up your cross. And you lay your life down for others so that they will live. And that's it.
Deuces. Deuces from Maddie.